year drought was around 2014, and I witnessed drought causation. A big storm got quelled by a bunch of planes spraying in the skies, and I didn't know what it was, and I ended up doing some research, and here I am. We ended up not having the best resources in the world for chemtrail truth. Nobody knew what a chemtrail was, so I made friends and started having these conferences to bring to light all this stuff going on, and now we've got geoengineering, this commonplace term being normalized, and Bill Gates wants to dim the sun, and it's unreal.
Did you work on the farm, or did you own it?
Yeah, I worked on an organic farm. It was quite the experience. I was 34 years old. I thought I knew everything. I just graduated top of my class with a master's in business administration. I worked in finance and finally got out and worked on this organic farm where we grew, you name it, potatoes, squash, corn, all these things. And on the first day of the farm, I learned so much. I was immediately grounded, and I learned that potatoes grew potatoes. And I know this sounds like common knowledge to some people, but I grew up in the city. I didn't even know that. And all these other things started unraveling, like all these different varieties of food. A lot of people don't know that there's multiple varieties of even lemons, you know. There's so much abundance on Earth, and we're kind of told that there's scarcity so that we can be, controlled.
A lot of people seem to be, it's a COVID aside for a moment here, a lot of people seem to be getting sick a lot. There are a lot of respiratory infections way before the COVID-19 thing even popped up. Do you think that could be related to some of these chemtrails or whatever else they're doing to us?
Oh, definitely. I mean, aerosolized aluminum and barium doesn't go well in the lungs. You know, I mean, if you research the chemtrail constituents and start to get a grip on what's being sprayed, and then it's linked to Alzheimer's and dementia and all these other ailments, when our bodies are bogged down with GMOs and bad foods or whatever, and then they throw the chemtrails on top of that, yeah, people get sick, and then we scratch our heads, wonder where it's coming from, and then pop pills and try to fix it that way, which isn't the right way to do it. It's kind of the elephant in the room. That, to me, I'm an activist in a lot of different spaces, the holistic approach, right? But for me especially, it's EMF radiation and chemtrails, and I think both of those are these enormous elephants in the room when it comes to personal health. You know, we're being bombarded from the sky, and then now EMF everywhere, the radiation everywhere that's invisible, along with the chemtrails. It's invisible, aerosolized nano chemicals, heavy metals, aluminum, and whatnot. How do you, if you can't see it, but you're absorbing it all the time, we need to learn about it, empower ourselves with knowledge, and then step up and combat it eventually, you know.
In terms of the chemtrails, Matt, what is their rationale for? Why are they doing it?
Well, the why is a deep rabbit hole. People want to know the who, what, why, where, when, and how before they can even convey the message of what chemtrails are to their friends, family, and peers. The short answer is they want control. You know, it's a greed, a power trip. But at the end of it all, I think it's the spiritual thing. They want to quell our light source to prevent us from having our spiritual downloads, to inevitably dictate our destiny, which is we're supposed to be having some sort of ascension as humans and sort of a utopian fashion, but the powers that be want to quell that energy and steer us towards a transhumanism controlled reality is how I feel. I mean, it gets so deep when you start to really grasp what control over our sunlight and our atmosphere and even our moonlight and all these light codes. I mean, we're beings of light. We absorb light. We get our vitamin D and all this stuff from the sun. If everything's thrown off because of them blocking the sun, they'll have complete control of everything. Lyndon B. Johnson said, control the weather, control the world. But this is even deeper. Control the sunlight, control the world. That's even more than the weather, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Matt, because, you know, we just went off daylight saving time, and people are all whacked out. Their bodies just aren't conditioned to the earlier nighttime, and they can't handle it.
Well, our circadian rhythm is so sensitive, and nobody is willing to admit it because it's hard to grasp that just an hour time difference can throw people off. I read an article in National Geographic, when the time zone falls on a Monday, heart attacks go up 30%. That's how
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You just mentioned Bill Gates. I got Robert Kennedy Jr. on tomorrow night talking about his new work, primarily about Anthony Fauci, but he tosses Bill Gates in there. Is Bill working on that plan to block the sun? What's he want to do?
Well, Bill Gates is kind of the puppet, the main person behind it, and he's got this Harvard professor, David W. Keith, as his spokesman for geoengineering. The goal is supposedly to dim how much sunlight we're getting by spraying the sky with chemtrails.
Oh my God.
Those don't exist yet, but will in the future as they're normalized and launched. And it's supposedly to slow down global warming, which I don't buy that itself. I want to thank you so much for all of the support, you and your show, because in 2018, when I first went on the show, I talked about this conference we were hosting in Tucson, where Bill Gates was first trying to do this sun dimming experiment. And because of all the support and all the listeners and all the amazing people out there, you have such an amazing listenership.
Oh my God, yeah.
Everyone came and rallied in Tucson, and we prevented that experiment from happening in 2018. So hopefully we can all rally together in Sweden next year or do something about this, at least raise the consciousness, because it's all about our consent. And if we can convey to the world that we do not consent to having our sun dimmed, then I think they can put this thing on hiatus again, hopefully.
I mean, his name comes up with vaccines. It's coming up with blocking the sun. Why doesn't he just worry about Microsoft? Of course, he's leaving that generally. He stepped down on, didn't he?
Yes, he's left, and I've thought about that Bill Gates thing. Why do they have him as the evil? I mean, he's gobbling up farmland, and he's, behind the vaccines, and he's behind a lot, dimming the sun. You know, that's a very evil role to have. And the powers that be could go about it a different way, but they want this central figure. And why? I think it's because they want us to get this energy of fear. And, I mean, he's one of the richest people on earth, right? So fear and disparity will come with this, like, evil doing, you know? Like, if we didn't have someone to point the finger at, we couldn't get so angry and upset.
Right.
And in that frequency of fear and anger, we're hopeless, you know, there's no hope. So I think it's more of a control mechanism to have a boogeyman, I think. I'm not really sure. I've analyzed it a lot. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Is he well-intentioned, or is he just misinformed? What do you think?
I think that he's well-intentioned. I think the people in the higher-ups that are looking to dim the sun have nothing but nefarious intentions. I think they're in the know, and they know exactly what's going on. Even the geoengineering controlled polarized argument, this narrative, this dualistic narrative is quite confusing in and of itself, and it's this reverse psychology to kind of control how the general population sees it. The general population is coming into this very fresh to geoengineering, and because it's so left-right, split down the middle, duality, we've got global warming alarmists and global warming deniers on the left-right paradigm. So the liberal Democratic side is green energy, they're global warming alarmists, and they're progressive, and they're actually, at the end of the day, pro-geoengineering because it does something about climate change. On the flip side, on the right side of the paradigm, you've got global warming deniers, anti-geoengineering people, and then also dirty energy, like ExxonMobil. And ExxonMobil is over there on the right side of the paradigm saying global warming is not real, we don't need geoengineering, we don't need to do geoengineering, no action needs to be done because don't point the finger at us, global warming is not real. And so the public is confused and kind of in this, it's reverse psychology basically, because you're telling them through this narrative that the denial of global warming leads to anti-geoengineering, and dirty energy is anti-geoengineering. You don't want to be on the side of dirty energy, so you go on the other side of green, which is pro-geoengineering, and all of a sudden you're consenting to dimming the sun. You don't even realize you've been cornered with this Hegelian controlled argument.
Matthew Landman, our guest, his websites are linked up at coasttocoastam.com. His first film, Frankenskies, he's working on Frankenskies #2. We'll talk about that when we come back in a moment on Coast to Coast as well. We'll also get into 5G, which Matthew believes it is entirely dangerous. And 5G right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being complete, where does it stand in this country right now? What number might it be at, Matt?
Well, 5G, the word itself is kind of confusing. There's 5G high band, low band, mid band, and there's different carriers.
All right, let's talk about that when we come right back on Coast to Coast AM.
The Coast website is now conveniently optimized for mobile devices. If you're a Coast insider, you can listen to live and past shows right on your phone. Just visit coasttocoastam.com on your iPhone or Android browser.
Phil Hewlett from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A judge says Vanessa Bryant must turn over her mental health records. Attorneys for LA County say they need those records to fight Vanessa's claim that she suffered emotional distress after photos were shared of the helicopter crash that killed her husband Kobe and daughter Gianna. The state is taking applications from homeowners for the earthquake brace and bolt program. You can get up to $3,000 to add seismic safety bolts to keep your house from sliding off its foundation during an earthquake. Most restaurants in Los Angeles can no longer give out napkins and plastic utensils unless you ask for them first. It's the rule. And they can't include complimentary utensils or napkins with takeout orders unless you ask for them. Southland weather from KFI. Thick fog this morning. Sunshine later, except for the beach where some cloud cover will linger into the afternoon. Highs in the low to mid-70s inland, low 60s at the coast. Right now, 55 in Westminster, Tustin 57, Bellflower 55, and in Westwood it's also 55 degrees. We lead local. From the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Phil Hewlett.
Griffith Park, there is a work zone, 134 eastbound from the 5 to Harvey Drive. Right lane, that's going to be off limits for road work until 4. And in Westminster, we have a full freeway closure. This is on the 405 northbound from Bolsa to Golden West. All lanes are going to be off limits for road work until 5. Studio City, we have a work zone, 101 northbound from the 134 to the 405. 3 left lanes are going to be shut down until 5. KFI and the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Brian Van.
You know those water filters in the sink, and I used to have one years ago, they run out of water, and now you're back to tap water. Well, that doesn't happen anymore, and it won't happen to you with a Life Source whole house water filtration system. Every single faucet in your house becomes a source of filtered, delicious water, and it doesn't stop. It goes on forever if you want. That's what a Life Source whole house water filtration system is about. Maintenance-free. No salt bags, filter changes, exchange tapes, none of that. Reduces your hard water problems, gets rid of the odor and taste of chlorine, for example. No salt, chemicals, and chlorine. Well, if you don't have chlorine, look at how that helps your skin and hair. You're buying directly from the factory. They provide a customized water solution for your home, including installation, customer service support. That's Life Source Water. Call them today at 800-334-5009, 800-334-5009. Visit LifeSourceWater.com. Life Source Water. Taste and feel the difference.
Why would a plumber just tell me what it costs to unclog my drain over the phone? Is it that complicated?
No, it's not. It makes no sense at all. They obviously have a price.
Whoa, you've got a nice aroma. Who are you?
Mike Diamond, the smell good plumber.
Will you tell me how much to unstop my drain?
$99.
But you haven't seen it.
Don't need to. Doesn't matter if it's a kitchen sink or a mainline sewer stoppage. The smell good plumbers at Mike Diamond will unclog almost any drain for $99.
Almost.
Yeah, there are a few exceptions, but you can read all about them on our website before you call. Just go to thesmellgoodplumber.com.
Wow, you're like up front and everything. I just called a guy named Bubba who wouldn't tell me anything.
No Bubba's here, ma'am. Just professional plumbers who show up on time, smell good, and unclog drains for $99.
Call us. 1-800-446-MIKE. Contact your license number 39917. KFI AM 640.
Usually I have an answer. I always have an answer because I know everything. Because I should be king of the world.
Phil Handel.
Can you imagine?
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
We're gonna be fine.
That doesn't sound like you're going to be fine.
We're gonna be fine.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
It sounds like it's their last word.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
We're going to take your calls with Matthew Landman and next hour here on Coast to Coast. Lots more to talk with him about when we come back. Our television show, Beyond Belief, is a wonderful program that we'd love for you to watch by going to beyondbelief.com. If you want to just sample a few, Thomas, what do we have?
Well, just to wet your whistle, we put up 3 free episodes right there at beyondbelief.com, so check them out. They are ad-free. We also have a free 7-day trial, which will give you access to a lot more shows, actually 400 plus shows. So we've done a lot there. There for you. It's beyondbelief.com.
And jump aboard and sign up for our free YouTube channel. Tell them, how do they do that?
Well, we're so close to 500,000 subscribers. So close. And you can listen to the first hour of recent and past shows all for free. Head over to coasttocoastam.com, the website. Go up to the top, hit the YouTube icon, and boom, you are there.
Super. And here's something for you to build up your immune system.
HealthyLooking.com and Dr. Alan Millay bring 4 decades of experience in natural products for the exclusive stem cell wellness kit that works with your body's stem cells to assist your immune system. Here's Dr. Millay with more.
Whether it's physical activity, obesity, diet, smoking, low on hormones, stress, sleep disorders, or your age, can be supported by reducing inflammation and aiding the body to heal itself appropriately. A stem cell is a cell waiting to be told what it needs to be. If there is inflammation, that inflammation needs to be stopped. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, kidney disease, various types of cancer, depression, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disorders, osteoporosis, even fatty liver are chronic signs of inflammation and can be aided by supporting the body's ability to protect those cells that it needs. And that is the purpose of ImmuStem and AdaptoStem together, supporting the body to be the best it can be.
Dr. Millay, how will I feel after taking AdaptoStem and ImmuStem?
The ImmuStem is going to have an immediate effect, but I guarantee you that your immune system is starting to function better after 24 hours. You put AdaptoStem along with it, you will feel it in 30 minutes.
Order now at HealthyLooking.com. The Stem Cell Wellness Kit from Dr. Millay protects your body's stem cells and will make you feel better faster. The Stem Cell Wellness Kit with AdaptoStem and ImmuStem and your free gift Relaxol is only available at HealthyLooking.com or toll free at 800-563-3980. That's 800-563-3980. Don't forget to enter promo code George for free shipping. George's Stem Cell Wellness Kit at HealthyLooking.com. That's HealthyLooking.com.
As we age, the fatigue and failing endurance we feel can't be fixed with more and more caffeine. Introducing a new way to start your day, Super Beets Heart Chews. They're a tasty treat that give you the energy you need, and they're good for you. No more afternoon coffees, energy drinks, and candy for a quick pick-me-up. Add 2 delicious plant-based Super Beets Heart Chews to your morning routine and promote heart-healthy energy for your day without a caffeine crash. Because Super Beets Heart Chews' unique, clinically researched grapeseed extract promotes heart-healthy energy and normal blood pressure as part of a healthy lifestyle. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beets Heart Chews has been clinically shown to be 2 times as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as a healthy lifestyle alone. Just for you, you can get up to 45% off plus free shipping at noribeats.com or call 1-800-515-0053. This is their best offer available anywhere. That's noribeats.com. Up to 45% off at noribeats.com.
If you have life insurance through work, I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for it. And the amount of coverage you can have is limited. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. And my clients are shocked to learn how expensive their life insurance at work really is because of a rate driven up by unhealthier people. Plus, with preset limits, you're likely to have far less coverage than you really need for your family. For over 35 years, SelectQuote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance companies to find your best policy. That's why SelectQuote is America's #1 term life sales agency. Don't wait. Workplace open enrollment is here. Let SelectQuote help you save money on your own policy and get the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-737-9944. That's 1-800-737-9944. 1-800-737-9944. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Savings may vary by term, policy amount, and state. Not available in all states. Full details on savings and carrier ratings at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you along with Matthew Landman. We're talking about the things that they pelt down on us from the sky, geoengineering. We'll get into that term too. Matthew, we're talking about 5G. Exactly what is 5G for us?
5G is the rollout of the new telecom network. It seems like it's the progression of 2G, 3G, 4G, and then 5G, but it's completely new technology. And to answer your question before the break, I'd say they're at about a 3, between 1 and 10. When they completely roll out 5G, this Internet of Things, this mesh network, these carrier waves that can be measured in millimeters. To answer your question, 5G is a millimeter carrier wave that carries our data around for our phones and whatnot. But it'll involve self-driving cars and this really intricate network of radiation where the cell phones emit the 5G. They're like these little towers in this mesh network.
Mm-hmm.
We've got these cell towers everywhere to push the signal around. A cell tower every 500 feet is what they claim that they need. So as it rolls out and the radiation increases, I've developed an EMS clothing line, and I just want to give your loyal listeners the coupon code while I have them listening. It's Coast to Coast on my website with the number 2. And for the EMS clothing line, I'm lining things with silver, and I'm making Faraday foam bags to kind of try to, while they have their Agenda 2030, I want to have my own Agenda 2030, which involves protection and trying to buck this, what I think is a depopulation agenda at the end of the day.
What's beyond 5G? Is there something else after that?
Well, the propaganda machine throws words around like 6G and 7G and whatnot, but unless they're going to be carrying data on actual light, I don't think that we will have anything else. It just makes you want to not fight 5G and feel dismantled and disempowered when they're like, oh, 7G is coming soon. But I think 5G is the end game. Once they have that in place, they won't need anything else.
And technically speaking, what is 5G supposed to do?
Technically, it is to speed up the data, basically, and to have instant information. They claim it's going to be safer. Like if we get in an accident, it'll be able to notify the ambulance immediately. It's self-driving cars. Self-driving cars need instant information, instant access to information.
I'm so opposed to self-driving trucks, Matt. So opposed to that.
Right, me too. And then it'll be this, everything is linked to the internet in real time. So I think it'll roll out AI, and the AI with the QR code established. I want to talk really quick about this QR code. It was invented in 1994 by Masahiro Hara of the Japanese car company Denso Wave. But in 2012, Lee Rothschild and his company Mobile Imaging Innovations, he won the patent on using QR codes to link to the internet. So now this Rothschild, he's got the patent on QR codes linking to the internet, and now these QR codes are everywhere you go. And they're eventually going to be linked to medical records, and we're not going to have currency, we're not going to have driver's license, we're just going to have these QR codes. And I think it's a slippery slope to the mark of the beast. So I say we reject these QR codes while we can. And one more thing I want to say is thank you, George, for all that you've been doing. I saw that your 19-year anniversary is coming up. I think it's so important to be planting all these seeds, as we've been doing for decades, you and I, and other truth seekers out there, because the metaphoric analogy of the seed of truth, as we keep planting these seeds as truth-seeking activists, we've been planting these seeds of truth for years. And finally, the metaphoric soil in which the seeds are planted, the soil is finally fertile, enough to germinate these seeds and sprout these seeds of truth for the future activists and the next generation. So it's so important, especially in this empire of lies, as things keep piling up, that we keep doing what we're doing. I just want to say thank you all.
Well, you know what's so sad, Matthew, is within the scope of all of this, there are probably some well-intentioned scientists and people who actually believe they're doing something good, and they don't realize the nefarious reasons a lot of these things are being pushed.
Well, they're on a need-to-know basis, right? And that's why people say to me, how could they spray the chemtrails? What about the pilots? Well, most of them are drones. And that rabbit hole starts to get interesting when you learn about the engines. And I think activism is in a holistic approach. For the chemtrail stuff, people start to ask me, well, what's the contrail? What's the chemtrail? How can I decipher between the two? Well, when you look at the Pentagon in 9/11 and the engines that slammed into the Pentagon that disappeared, these are 2-ton titanium and steel Rolls-Royce engines. And I looked these up and started doing some research. It's a turbofan jet engine that was created in the 1940s by Rolls-Royce. And then in the 1950s, General Electric Aviation started building them. And in the 1960s, Rolls-Royce mass-produced these turbofan jet engines. They're basically like in internalizing a propeller. It's a propeller, it's a fan, a big fan. These engines are big fans, okay? And what happens is they make lift over the wings. So there's no hot air coming out. They're just fans, just like a propeller. And these 2-ton titanium and steel engines that slammed into the Pentagon didn't even break the glass and just disappeared. So that wasn't a plane, obviously, something else. Those engines are now coming full circle, and they're in the sky, not creating contrails, not creating hot air at all. So even the contrails story is a con. Anything that you see coming out of the back of jets is a chemical being mixed with other chemicals to, whether it's to engineer the weather or to slowly dim the sky and normalize geoengineering, that's up for questioning, but it's important for us to grapple the lies, because when we start to elevate on the frequency of truth, it's really, it's so pivotal to understand that we have to get rid of these lies and to see them for what they are. When we start to elevate on the vibration of truth, all these other frequencies, all these other truths, they become self-evident while we're on this frequency of truth. But if we start to absorb all these lies and believe these lies like we're being spoon-fed, it gets cloudy. So what you said about the intentions of the scientists and whatnot, it came back. It always goes back to me to Edward Bernays. He compartmentalized the thinking of the American public. This whole "I'm not a doctor, trust the specialist." He was able to get bacon on the American breakfast plate, fluoride in the water, people smoking cigarettes because they're sexy, and he coined the term "trust your doctor" and got them wearing white outfits, white jackets.
Well, he was a genius for public relations.
No kidding. And what happened there is everybody got compartmentalized, and they can throw up their hand and say, well, I'm not a rocket scientist, or I'm not a dentist, or I'm not a doctor. And people don't think for themselves, And that's the thing with activism, is we have to take a holistic approach and think for ourselves and embrace all these different truths and become a partial meteorologist and a partial electrical engineer and whatnot. And that's why my website, actualactivists.com, embraces all of that. I've got a daily blog on there, Daily Truth. It'll link you there to my EMF clothing line, silver line clothing line, Sparrow, S-P-E-R-O, gear.com, which Sparrow is Latin word for hope. And the idea of the company is to bring hope to the next generation, because I firmly think this 5G is predatory. When you start to look at the size of the carrier wave and the way that it absorbs in the body, it will impact fertility. And long-term, I don't think children conceived, born, and raised in a 5G environment, I don't think they're going to be able to reproduce. I was analyzing why they would call it Generation X, Y, and Z. Now we're at Generation Z. What's after that? That's the last letter of the alphabet. The writing's on the wall, and I think it's going to push along a transhumanism agenda when people cannot procreate. And that's why we need to protect ourselves and empower truth and learn about what we can do to not absorb too much radiation and to, bust the system the best we can.
And they're putting these towers up all over the place already, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, the 5G rollout, cities in particular, like Los Angeles and whatnot, they're putting them up, but they can't roll it out everywhere.
Can they put them on trees and anything they want?
Yeah, they're doing it everywhere. They're putting them on water towers, and they're disguising them as cactuses and disguising them as trees. It's a slippery slope. When we first did the lockdown last year, people were contacting me. They swore that they were just putting up towers everywhere, and they were. And what's happening is they're slowly cranking up the frequencies on our phones to adapt to this new 5G carrier wave. And I believe that a lot of people are showing symptoms of radiation sickness as they slowly crank up these frequencies. I've got these Faraday phone bags that kill the signal of your phone because they're lined with silver and you don't have any phone signal inside these bags. Well, when COVID first started coming out, the phone bags started getting penetrated by these phones that were emitting way more radiation than before. And so I had to double line the bags. And then the bags worked great. And then just recently, with only the 5G phones, and in these hot spots as well where COVID is, people are contacting me, and now I'm having to make a third layer to these phone bags because when the Delta variant came up, people were contacting me saying their phone bags stopped working again, these Faraday phone bags. So people's phones are emitting so much more radiation to be able to repeat the signal of the 5G carrier wave. Their phones end up becoming part of the network. Not like before. Before, on a 4G system, Your phone sends a message to the cell tower. Now you're in a mesh system where the signal cannot go very far because the carrier wave is so small, and you're repeating the signal with your phone, which means you're taking everyone's data around you and trying to send it another 500 feet. This mesh system, and the amount of radiation coming off your phone is going up exponentially. So it's important for people to understand how much their phones are emitting, maybe get a EMF reader, or understand, you know, the sensitivities you can have and turn off your phone at night, learn about grounding. So many things that you can do to empower yourself and not let that self own you, you know.
I've got 4G, and I'm happy with the speed. I don't need it to go any faster.
No, neither do I. I've got 3G. Well, I got a message from Verizon saying that my 3G network was going to get turned off. But I've got a slider phone. I've got an online business. I've got a big followership on Instagram and Facebook and all these things. And I do so many things online, but I don't expose myself to any radiation. I have a wired Ethernet. I've got a very minimal slider, old Cosmos LG phone that doesn't emit any radiation when it's not in use. And I think it's just so important for people to understand this invisible soup of radiation that we're all in. Maybe you even pick up the book Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. It dives deep into all of this.
If they're successful in blocking the sun, how will they do it?
Slowly but surely. The goal, it seems, is to first convince us that we need it and have everybody signed on through this. It's not informed consent. It's a persuasion towards consent in a dualistic paradigm where they get us in a polarized thinking, and then through outright trickery in the polarized thinking, they have, on both sides of the polarized thinking, they have falsehood, lies. So we think that through this duality we're picking, and that we have free will, that we're picking something that is good for us, but it's not. It's like, do we act on global warming, yes or no? You know, well, wait a second. Is global warming necessarily even happening, yes or no? And then when you get down that rabbit hole, it's like, well, the heat waves and these things that are being caused by the chemtrails that are already being sprayed. So it gets really slippery, and people need to understand that it's been going on for some time. There's ongoing geoengineering programs through NASA. NASA has a budget of $50 million a day, and they have a program called CARE, C-A-R-E, the Charged Aerosol Release Experiment. There's also the stratospheric aerosol injection through the CIA. There's solar radiation management governance through our government, and it's interesting and crazy that they call it solar radiation. The sun is all of a sudden radiation. It's bad for us, but they call EMF and try to confuse this term that's actually radiation, and they tell us it's not bad for us, but the sun is bad for us, and we need to wear sunscreen and all these things, whereas we need to be actually protecting ourselves from the invisible radiation and not from the sun. The silver line clothing that I have, what it does is it's basically like wearing a t-shirt out in the sun at the beach. Okay, if you go out to the beach day in, day out, you're going to accumulate so much radiation that your skin gets burned, and you still problem. The silver blocks you from the radiation from cell towers and phones and all that. So much, it's like 99% protected. It's like wearing a t-shirt in the bright sun.
They're not that heavy, though, to wear, huh?
Yeah, they're great. I'd like to see you one, and the producer. There's about 2 dozen companies on this planet doing this. And I'm really understanding now, and it's bringing light to something that is so important that we all need to understand. And it's this elephant in the room of EMF radiation, how it's impacting us, especially with the children nowadays, and learning from all these kids are learning from home, or doing a lot of their schooling from home, and they don't know if the laptops in their lab are impacting their sleep patterns, or their hormones, and all these things, seeing suicide and all that. The elephant, I know it's just an elephant in the room, but it's this invisible thing that people need to understand, because we're surrounding ourselves with it, adopting it, and why not understand something that's all around us? I mean, it's ignorant to keep on adopting more and more technology without understanding the ramifications thereof.
Most people charge their phones at night, and it's close to their bedside. Is that dangerous?
Well, for a number of reasons, and it's hard to talk about people's phones because it's part of their identity. I think people call it the iPhone, the iPad, and all this joke. Your identity.